I didn't get diagnosed except for a year and a half ago. So I've lived most of my life not knowing that I had a rare disease. My mom, even when I was a little tiny girl, knew that there was something wrong. But I was her first child, so she knew something was not quite right, but didn't really have any other children to compare that to. And she would go to doctors and ask questions. Why is my baby so muscular? Why is she hungry all the time? That's part of our syndrome. It's called hyperphagia, but it's just a really excessive hunger. So there were odd things, probably my whole life, and went to a lot of different doctors, and they would treat different symptoms, but it's just so rare that, no one knew what lipodystrophy was. And I finally saw my fifth endocrinologist, who said, I think in a textbook, I think you match this condition called lipodystrophy. And I'd never heard that word. So instantly I went to the internet, and everyone says don't do that. But in my case, it really saved my life, because this doctor had heard of lipodystrophy, didn't know how to treat it, wanted to refer me to someone else, was going to look for a specialist. So I went online and became a Google doctor and just found anything I could. I think I locked myself in a room for 12 hours and just studied it. And I found on social media a Facebook group of patients with this condition. And from there found a doctor in Michigan who's actually going to be honored this weekend at Global Genes, Dr. Ayla Farrell, who specializes in this. I guess I could say Facebook saved my life. The people that I met, that were knowledgeable, really guided me to the right doctor and to finally get my diagnosis. How I manage it really is through a lot of support through my Facebook community with lipodystrophy. I didn't know anything about lipodystrophy. Most doctors don't. I live in a rural town, so none of the doctors where I live understand it. I got guided to the University of Michigan and got in a clinical trial about a month after I was diagnosed. And I met another patient who was from my same state, who was in the clinical trial, and she said she was just filling me in on all things lipodystrophy. It's a metabolic disorder. It affects really all of our organs. And she said, hey, I think you should see my cardiologist. Not everyone with the condition, but quite a few of us have heart issues. I didn't have any symptoms. I felt like a hypochondriac going to some heart doctor, but she dragged me in. I got in there, and the doctor said, let's look under the hood, let's do an echo. So we did. And they said, your heart is pumping at 34%. Are you sure you're not having any symptoms? And I said, well, I'm kind of tired, so we need to rush you in to get a heart cath. And when they got me in, not only do I have cardiomyopathy, which is the poor pumping of the heart, but I also, my widowmaker artery was 90% blocked. So when I say my Facebook friend saved my life, she really did.